There we go. All right. So this week, first off, happy Tuesday, everybody. This week, our topic of conversation is ambassadors. So we're going to delve in. Usually these last around 30, 45 minutes, and we can do any follow-up after that. But particularly, I want to start. Oh, hold on. Let somebody else in. I want to start at the very beginning. So if you guys don't mind, please share your process for how someone becomes an ambassador within your organization. So is there an application process? Is there a fee? What requirements are there? Anything like that. So not necessarily what role your ambassadors play, but more on the application and how they come to be ambassadors. So with that, I will open it up to whoever is ready to share um, their process.
Okay.
Thanks, Brenda. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So we have a application process, and we make it really clear that we're really only in our second year of a bona fide ambassador program. Before it was like a small group that was a group that was also board members. So we sort of separated those groups out, and we've gotten up to 25 ambassadors. They're really active in the community. So they are making the program look really good. So I've got a file drawer full of applications, but we made it clear, kind of last year that we would start accepting or reviewing the applications in April. Our ambassadors do pay a fee of $75 a year. But for that, they get a polo that, has the ambassador, has our logo, and it helps to pay too for our internal Christmas function. This year we're doing a luncheon, and trying to think, there's something else, but it helps to pay for, those kinds of things. And so that's our process.
Brenda, a couple of follow-up questions. Do you limit the number? Do you have a specific number that you?
So it's really, I mean, we haven't said a number, but I feel like 25 for our size chamber is plenty. I was an ambassador in the Montgomery Chamber of Commerce, which is, as you all know, a much larger machine than most chambers. And I was like one of 70. And I never felt like I could really connect, when you get that many people, because part of what I want to happen with our ambassadors is for them to bond, because I think that's the backbone, the strength of our organization, and they're doing that. They're friends, and that is working very well, that plan. And so, but I think if we had more than 25, that would be a more difficult thing and less special, because we are getting to a place this year, I think, where we're going to have to, I hate to say that, but, just not be able to take everybody. But we're going to start an interview process too. I forgot to mention that now that we're getting more than we can handle. We're going to start an interview process on that. So,
Okay. All right. Who wants to share next? Particularly if your program is different or if you're doing something very similar.
I can speak. I'm with the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber of Commerce, so we're a fairly large chamber of commerce. We have a joint program. It's called Ambassadors and Emissaries. So Emissaries is a little bit elevated above the ambassadors. So we have a total of 112. And we do a application and a code of conduct and a payment form. So they have to have all three of those. We do charge, this year was $175. Next year will be $199. That includes their ambassador name badge, and then it does cover their monthly luncheon fee. So we do have a monthly luncheon for the whole year, excluding July and October. And with it being so large, we do have smaller networking groups throughout the year. Hump day lunch, off the clock connections, coffee connections, and think there's something else we do that's smaller that allows them to network in smaller settings and smaller groups since it is a larger group.
One question, you mentioned that you have ambassadors and emissaries.
Mhm.
Can you tell us kind of the difference between how you differentiate those two?
So after you've been in the ambassador program for a while, you may be asked to be an emissary. And so it's a leadership role. You're asked to mentor ambassadors. You're asked to be a leader in the program. And then you are given a list of all of our members here at the chamber, and you're asked to adopt 25 members at the chamber and act as a liaison between the chamber and the member and make sure those members don't get lost in the shuffle. And if they have questions, make sure they're guided. We have a whole list of what they're supposed to do on a monthly basis. Oh, it's blurred out, sorry. So in January, they hand deliver their plaques to the members. February, they may remind them of upcoming events. So they just build that personal connections with those members. So that's what the emissaries do for us. Acts as a big brother, big sister for the chamber.
And it's an invitation only, you said.
Correct.
You have to be invited. Okay.
And once
Is
they're
that
invited, their fee is waived. That $199 fee is waived. So that's a bonus and a perk of being an emissary.
Is that information on your website?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
They get their so emissaries have their own website with their profile picture, a direct link to their company name. They also get a bio. Ambassadors have their own page with their ambassador, company name, ambassador photo, and a direct link to their company, but they don't get the bio.
Perfect. Thank you, Christy. Christy just dropped the link in the chat, so we appreciate that. That's great. All right. Who else? Anyone else want to? Yeah. Hey, Denise. Good morning up there.
Hey, I'm in Decatur, Morgan County. We have about 50 ambassadors. We call them Commodores because Stephen F. Commodore is who founded Decatur. So they are our Commodores. They serve in a similar way that's been mentioned. They are volunteers. We charge an annual dues of $150. That does include their name tag. We do monthly meetings with them. So that includes their lunches. They are all on our website, and bios are listed. Links to email them directly are listed on there. And one of the challenges that I think we are about to face is that interview process, that process of it. It's almost kind of been, if you apply and you're a member in good standing, then you're accepted into the program. And we do follow our fiscal year. So we try to put applications out in February for the event, for the year to start then in April. And so, but we have added a few throughout the year, and I'm concerned we're reaching that point where our room won't accommodate anymore. So as far as our monthly meetings and that kind of thing, we're outgrowing our space, but then also trying to keep it that a coveted role to have. They serve as ambassadors. They volunteer for us at our events. They deliver new member packets directly to members. They help to facilitate our ribbon cuttings. They serve as mentors to our new members. And so all of those different roles, and we're kind of at that point. And that's really my question is, how do you implement then an interview process? What is the process? Are they grandfathered in once they're already in the program? Are you starting fresh? I'm curious. Growing pains, really.
Can I interject and suggest to y'all? I heard it. Y'all, I don't know if anybody else has heard of Chamber Chat podcast. You have I don't know who all's listened, but about a year ago, there was a director on there from, I want to say, a chamber in Kentucky, but it's the only one that I've heard over the last year or so that was about ambassadors. And he really talks very openly about he interviews them like it's their job. I don't know that I could take the same stance that he did. He was very, very, just a different personality type than me. But I really learned a lot. So, I mean, as a resource for what other chambers that are doing that, check that out.
Okay.
That's great, Brenda. And I'm gonna really quickly see if I can find that episode, and I'll put the link in the chat. I want to talk to specifically about Denise's question about kind of that transition. But really quickly, can you guys tell us, do any of you have, or what are your term limit policies? So most boards, it's outlined in your bylaws, how long someone can serve and then leave. Do you have the same for your ambassador programs? Term limits or how long someone can serve, anything like that?
We currently do not.
Okay. Laura, how about you guys?
No.
Anyone?
We don't have an ambassador program, so this is,
Okay.
I'm like taking all of this in. So I'm gonna just follow everyone's lead here.
Okay. Anybody else?
We
Brenda?
don't have term limits, but we do say they have to serve a minimum of 2 years. And the reason that we do that is we have a lot of ambassadors that have the goal of one day serving on the board, but we want it to be a good bullpen. By the time you've served that 2 years in the ambassador program, you should know enough about our chamber that you can step into a board position and be able to, not be blindsided by what we're doing.
I would suggest very similar to your board, particularly if you are in a growing pain situation, or you have some dead weight from ambassadors that have been there for so long that they no longer are energized about the program. We had term limits. I think ours served 3 years, very similar to our board. And it's just in your ambassador policy, basically. It doesn't have to be in your bylaws, because your ambassador shouldn't be in your bylaws. But it can be in your policy. And as well on your application, that it's understood that you serve for 3 years. Maybe it's 6, whatever it might be, whatever works for your community. I don't think there's a magic number. But Denise, to your point, that might help in that kind of, how do you transition to this, that you grandfather, folks in, and then as they come back, then they go through the interview process and that sort of thing. Because to Brenda's point, this can be and should be somewhat of a stepping stone, proving ground to move on to your board and service. Or like in Huntsville, Madison, I love that emissary. I mean, I think that's a great way to keep that institutional knowledge and keep them engaged, and all of that. I love that almost dual level ambassador. So let's talk a little bit about if any of you have an interview process, or how you kind of set that in motion. I love that. We didn't necessarily have an interview process, but we did have a nomination form and, open-ended questions. So almost like an application or an interview on paper. How about that? Can anybody talk about their process as far as, is anyone currently doing interviews? I'm going to take silence as a no. Okay. So Denise, jump out there. Tell us how it's going to be a year from now. We'll revisit.
Yeah. We will. Right now, we have an application, but it's just kind of automatically assumed that kind of everybody gets in. I did this past year turn a few away because we were kind of at that sweet spot of where did they fall? Where does our number fall in our budget for feeding them lunches, and how many seats can we actually get in the room if everybody's in attendance. And that was kind of my spot. And then it has changed, whose responsibility has changed. So a few more have trickled in. So now it's the discussion of, okay, where is that sweet spot? And we kind of need to get some things in place before we put applications out in the new year. So I like the idea of the emissary program that would allow us to keep some of the experience while hopefully encouraging some dead weight to move on. I really like that. Lakeisha and I may be reaching out to you and asking questions.
Lakeisha, I want to ask Lakeisha, is it strictly invitation only? They can't apply for that. You can apply to be an ambassador, but you are invited to be an emissary.
That is correct.
Do they have?
Ambassador is open for members to apply, emissaries by invite only. And then, like you said, once they're an emissary, they're pretty much in there, you know, they don't rotate out. They stay in the emissary program. Now, we did recently have a lot of people like either move away or not really, you know, the program sort of diminished. So this year I'm doubling the program. So we have 13 senior emissaries and we're adding about 13 new emissaries. So we're going to see an influx of new motivated emissaries and then 13 seniors. So hopefully we'll see a inclusion of both of them mixing well together and the program taking off. But with the emissary program, we did a emissary university orientation for the new ones coming in. They see the senior emissaries and they get an impression of what the program is, but they don't fully understand what it is. So the university, we lined out line by line exactly what was expected of them, the 25 adopted members, how we wanted them to interaction with them, not hard selling their product to our members. It's about the relationships. And we wanted them to understand fully what they were signing up for and the responsibilities. And we had some that signed on the dotted line and were ready to be emissaries. And then we had some that had lots of questions. They were like, well, how much time commitment is this? You know, I do have a real job. I have a full-time job. And we had others that were like, oh, this is not what I thought it was, you know. So the program, I do have those slides as well if you want me to share those with you. But we do require them to be an ambassador for at least a year. And I have a point system that I created called What's the Point? And we keep track of like how many times they attend ribbon cuttings. They show up for lunches, they attend non-ambassador chamber related events, they get points and then they can become ambassador of the month, and that's a challenge they can do. And this just makes them stand out in the crowd and you see who these people are, and then it's easier to pick who you want to be that emissary.
That's great. And that is a perfect segue. I appreciate that. Can we talk a little bit about that training and orientation? We all know how important board orientation and board training is, but I think it is also critically important because your ambassadors, a lot of times, they may be actually engaging in your community and representing your organization in a more public way. So how many of you do, and how do you do that board training? That ambassador training? Yes, please. Have you, okay. Brenda, do you do a training or orientation for yours as well?
Yeah, I actually reached out to Paige last year because I really wanted to up that. She's done our board training a few times and does a fantastic job at that. I know that could be hard for you because I mean, all of our ambassador programs are so different and whatnot, but I just really kind of riffed off of what you did for the board this year and did some of your games and stuff too. But yeah, we do. It's not on the level, you know, I wish it was. I mean, I want it to be better, but you know, we let them know certainly what's expected of them. of course, make them sign an agreement that they understand and are willing to do what we're asking. But I would love to do more of a retreat type thing, because they really, in my opinion, the board is crucial, but the ambassadors are our boots on the ground. And as you said, they're the face, they're who people see in the community. So we definitely want to train them to represent us well.
Agreed. And y'all know you can rip off and duplicate anything that I do. So please go ahead. I did put in the chat. If you, and also if you're not taking notes or you need to do something else, the recording will have the chat. I think the chat is a part of the recording, so you can go back and reference some of the links that we're putting in here, which is great. Thank you. And Brenda, thank you for finding that podcast with Heath Taylor. I think it's Heath Taylor, who is with the Dublin Lawrence County Chamber over in Georgia. So a good friend of mine. So great guy. All right. So okay, Katie in Coleman has asked if you, Lakeisha, if you would mind sharing your point system. And you can email that to me, or you can put it in the chat. If you want to email it when we send out the recording, we'll also send out that document as well. So, or you can send it directly to Katie, whichever. But I'm sure some other people might want it as well. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions burning? We've talked a little bit about the how and the why. Maybe if you guys want to share a little bit about some of the cool things that your ambassadors are doing, maybe something that's different or unique. I think definitely at the core and the heart, they are exactly what they sound like. They are the ambassadors, the Goodwill ambassadors, part of the face. We always considered our ambassadors part of our leadership team at the chamber because they are elevated. So on the org chart, are you including them in your organizational chart, because they do represent your organization? Who do they report to? Is it a staff or is it the board? Those are questions I think that need to be answered, particularly if there's an issue or a problem. Who needs to be involved in that? One of the things that we implemented, which I think helped bridge that, is our ambassadors had a direct staff person that they knew, this is my staff person, but they also had a board liaison. So we had a board member who was kind of oversaw the ambassador program, and they would report back to the full board on what the ambassadors were doing. And so that liaison served just that whole connectivity piece of it. So any cool things that your ambassadors are doing that you want to share with the group? How are you using them? Ambassadors, commodores, emissaries, whatever title that you use for them.
So right now, our ambassadors really only show up because all we're really using them for is ribbon cuttings as a face, just to come and congratulate. And sometimes, I mean, I'm very new. Obviously, I was at the conference and I've only been here a couple weeks, almost a month now. And I was just given the ambassador program, and we only have the same people show up every time. We've got 20 ambassadors, but about 6 of them show up regularly. And I really feel like they show up just because we have a sponsor for our ambassador program. So that sponsor, they provide our lunches for the month for the ambassadors and their name tag. So our ambassadors don't pay anything to be involved. But I think that they really just show up because when I make a post on Facebook about our ribbon cuttings, they get a shout out. Their business gets a shout out for showing up and supporting another small business. And if they're not tagged correctly, they will let you know. So I would really like to start using them other ways to be more involved in what we're doing. And with that point system, since it's free, they don't really have any push to be involved because there's no repercussions or, anything like that. So
one thing that we do that is helpful, I think, for getting all of our ambassadors engaged, because it's very enticing, is we assign, well, first of all, we meet once a month and we have breakfast, and each of them takes a turn providing breakfast. So that's not really a cost on the chamber, but we go through the list of new members or returning members, and we have them, say, I'm going to take so and so and so and so. And then they take our decal, our member decal, and they go do a selfie with them. And then they send it to me, and I do a graphic with both of them in it, because they need to be in the picture too. And I tag both businesses, and that seems to be a really good, like, they get excited about doing those. And then also meeting, they get to pick and choose. Oh, I think I can do business with that person. So let me, sometimes I fight over them, which is fine.
I think
That's great.
the point system would be really good for you, Katie, because what's the point? Like, they get points for all of this stuff, and at the end, whoever has the most points for us gets ambassador of the month. And what that means is they get a plaque, present it, and then at the next luncheon they get a spotlight where they get to speak about their business. And then we post them on our social media, so our LinkedIn and our Facebook, which is the chamber's actual pages, and our followers get to see their company and their name on LinkedIn and Facebook, so they get to highlight their business. So it sounds like they like to showcase their business, so they get that. So we had one young lady, she's won like 3 times, and so now we have a hashtag called Beat Lucci, and so everybody's like fighting to get those points.
That's
So
fun.
that was really cool.
Thank you.
One of the things that we do with our monthly lunch is we have a speaker come in, or we take them to another location, and that's just broadening their experience on the community. This last month, our admiral, the lead volunteer, hosted at Habitat for Humanity and was able to hear about what they do and how they connect. And so they're learning little things about both the chamber and the community, so that they can share that as they are representing. One of the benefits we have, we do use books. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. It's a business card book, and we put all of the ambassador cards in here. So every time we have a new member, they get this book. So they're starting out with 50 brand new contacts. And so it's a benefit for the ambassador, because they're getting their information out there as well. They're telling them, hey, if you need anything, you can call on anyone in this book right away. And so that's one of the benefits for the ambassador, but it also is serving as a good benefit for the member too. The members seem to appreciate that. And we put our ambassadors in teams, and we've broke them up into 2 teams, and we tell them you're always welcome and encouraged to attend, but team 1 is taking the lead on this ribbon cutting, and there's one person that speaks on the behalf of the group, and then one person that is the mentor. So that rotates as well, and we're getting a lot of good attendance by breaking up into teams. We get a lot of feedback from our newer members lately that they're very impressed by the attendance that we're getting. And there's not points. Maybe we should do points, but they're just exposing their business, and hopefully it's not only representing the chamber, but hopefully they're building their business as they're doing that as well.
Yeah. And really, I think the one common thread through all of the conversation is they're really an extension of your membership staff, your membership team. They help keep members, engage members, and represent. So for us, and I think particularly with a lot of you, they're attached to that membership side. And really, Laura had asked, how do you get members interested in being an ambassador? And I think we did kind of jump over that. So if you're starting brand new, like they may be, what creates that desire? What's your selling point? Why does someone want to be an ambassador with your chamber? And Denise, you kind of talked on that a little bit. It's really about selling your business and another way to get your business out there. Brenda?
Yeah, I don't really know the magic answer to that, but I can say that, you know, when we were first building this program, we hand selected. We had the luxury, I guess, of going, you know, oh, you've got great energy. Can you come be an ambassador? In that first year, we were just really trying to build it. And I think we did a very good job of putting some mixture of some older seasoned professionals in with some younger. You know, Millbrook does not have a nightlife. And so I was noticing when I was here that I would know all these young professionals, but they didn't seem to know each other because they were working not in each other's industries. And so that to me helped solve that problem. But we gave them responsibilities like they host a young professional mixer twice a year. I don't even have to ask them. I mean, we just had a morning coffee this morning and they're snapping photos and selfies and with each other, and they make it look fun. And that's why I've got this. I have nothing to do with that. It's why I have this file full of people who want to be in it because they want to be at the cool kids table. I mean, that's for lack of better term, they're really making it look fun. And I'd be honest with you, a couple of times they've made it look too fun, but that we worked on that. we handled that. But anyway, that's you know, that's what's going on with us, at least right now.
Yeah,
You know.
I think the example of, since we're coming up on Thanksgiving, you're being elevated to the grown-up table, like you said, and it's, you know, you do make it fun. I will tell you two other points, and then I'll be quiet, that we did. We did a program called Operation Thank You, and some of you may do that. And but for us, we were in a small community. We had at the time around 650 members. And we took one day every November because it's our time to be thankful. And our ambassadors led that charge along with our board and some previous board members. And we went out and canvassed the town and visited every member in one day. And we took them a small gift and we said, thank you. Or we got on the phone and we did phone trees if they were home based or out of town or whatever it was. That was great PR for our chamber because it was chamber day in the community. They were everywhere. And they go out in little teams and take a little gift, whatever it might be. And then social media, and we put it in the newspaper and all those things. And so they led that Operation Thank You, and created buzz for the chamber, really said thank you. And it was something that they owned. And there was competition on the theme. So we always came up with a hokey, fun, you know, like, hands down, you're the best member. And we gave them like hand soap or just popping in, and we did popcorn, or don't you know you're the best? And we gave them donuts. And it created this competition of who could come up with the hokiest thing. So that was one thing we did with our ambassadors. But the second thing that we implemented, which I think really helped solidify that leadership role, was every Christmas we would do a joint board, ambassador, and staff luncheon or social event where they could mix with our board. They could get to know the staff. It was always well attended. It was always somewhere fun, but they appreciated, again, being elevated and being recognized. So a lot of times we do things separately, but doing that jointly, I think, went a long way. And it also helped our board understand the importance of the ambassadors. And we also use the ambassadors as kind of a proving ground. If we thought, hey, there's this person that we think might be good for the leadership on the board, before you put them there, we would put them on the ambassadors, or we'd ask them to be an ambassador. So we'd kind of get to know them a little bit better. So those were two things that we did. All right, we're coming up on almost 10:40. So anybody else, any burning questions, any concerns, anything you guys want to talk about as far as your ambassador programs? I mean, I think y'all did a great job. I mean, if we've answered all the questions, we can go to the house. But if there's anything else, let's talk about it. Okay. Um, thank you guys for sharing as always. I love these Talk About It Tuesdays. I think it's great idea sharing. We always talk about it, and I'll say it again. We have every chamber size represented from Huntsville to our smaller chambers who are doing great things, small but powerful. Everything is scalable regardless of size. You can take the biggest project and you can make it work for your community. So don't be afraid to try things and just scale it for what works for your community. All right. Anybody have anything else for the greater good? All hearts and minds clear? All right. Well, we are coming up on the Thanksgiving holidays. I want to say thank you so much. Thank you truly for all that you do for our state, for your communities, and for your engagement with Alabama Chambers. Carla and I are fortunate every day to get to work with you guys. So the recording will be put on our next news and notes, which I can't tell you when that's going to come out because we are officially made the transition last week to Growth Zone. So yay. So we're transitioning everything over and learning that whole new experience. So when it's available, the chat will be on there, all the links. You guys have a great Thanksgiving, and we will see you soon. Hopefully, we'll see you in Birmingham for our annual meeting, which is coming up November the 29th. November the 29th. All chamber professionals, whether you nominated a nonprofit, whether you nominated a small business or not, it is our annual meeting. There is no charge to attend. We just ask you to register. We'd love to have you there. It's at the club at 11:30. So hopefully we will see you there. If you have any questions, obviously call me, text me, email me, and we will see you guys soon. Appreciate each of you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.